Thank you for tuning in to the Good Vibes Project, and I am excited to have our guest with me. My youngest guest to date on the show, Nordelis Vega, is 15 years old. She is a sophomore at Spackenkill High School in Poughkeepsie, New York. She believes very strongly that everyone has a voice and should be heard, especially those who are young people or teens. So she created the Dutchess County's first Council of Teens, Dutchess County Council of Teens. Nordelis, thank you for being with me.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. I appreciate you penciling me in your busy schedule. I know you've got lots of other interviews with the governor and the president and all those things, but thank you so much. Talk to me about what the Council of Teens is exactly.
Yeah, of course. So the Council of Teens is actually also my Girl Scout Gold Award project, but it's a place where 2 to 4 representatives from each public school in Dutchess County gather together so we can discuss and vote on a topic that is extremely important to us so that we are able to take action in our community and hopefully help improve that problem.
From a teen perspective, so did you get involved with this thinking that teens weren't active enough or teens weren't having their voice heard? Why did you jump on this project specifically?
Specifically, I felt that it's really hard for teens' voices to be heard and not just put off as children's, especially within local government. I feel like just because of how modern society is run, the mindset is often created that teens' voices are of a child and that they don't hold much weight, which I think is not true at all. And I feel like in order to make sure that people know how to participate in government when they get older and also to give them a voice, I wanted to create the Dutchess County Council of Teens so that there is a specific platform for teenagers to get heard.
Okay, when you say teens, is there a limitation? Can someone get involved when they're 13, 14? Is it obviously mostly high school? You know, how have you kind of phrased that with people? Like, do you have 12-year-olds that are like, oh, I want to get involved?
No. As of right now, we're keeping it to the high schools. I know when I had asked the high schoolers for representatives, I had asked specifically for a sophomore or junior and then also a senior so that when people go and leave the council, it just flows regularly and nicely. So as of now, it is specifically high school students because that gives us a good range of 4 years from around the age of 13 to 14 to up to 18.
And by that point, they'll have learned enough where they might hypothetically vote or want to vote at 18?
Yes.
Keep them active. Okay. Very cool. Why now? Like, where did you come up with this, this second? Why not a week ago? Why not a month ago? What made you say, you know what, I really got to jump on this. I got to do this.
So during the summertime, especially because of quarantine and how schools were approaching reopening, I found it really hard as a teenager to get my voice heard, specifically in the fact that we weren't getting heard in terms of what we wanted in going back to school, and especially because it's a topic that directly affects us and our level of learning. We were basically being discredited and we weren't being taken into account, I felt. So I wanted a place where teens could gather and we could vote on the topic and just discuss and learn and also help participate in community service.
Now, when you talk about the quarantine and going back to school, did you have a specific position that you took on whether or not you should have been able to go back to school earlier or later?
Personally, I had felt that I wanted to get back to school as soon as possible just because online learning, I know for some students can be definitely really challenging. It can cause grades to drop. But currently this year, the council is focusing on the topic of mental health especially because of the pandemic and people not being able to see their friends, family. Mental health has definitely seen a very strong and obvious decline, especially among teenagers, because if you can't go to school, sometimes you can't see your friends there that you would usually see. So we had wanted to help that.
How important do you think that is? And you bring up a good point. Everyone talks about the learning aspect of going to school, but you could argue, maybe you do argue this, that the mental aspect and the social aspect, is very important. Like people talk about rates of suicide and depression and alcoholism, not just with teens, but all adults kind of going up. Was that a driving force as well? Like, you may be a well-adjusted teen, hypothetically, but not everyone is, and some people need that social interaction.
Yeah, definitely. I know I had spoken to a few people in the beginning of the process to get their take on how they felt with not going to school. And almost all of them had said that one of the biggest things about wanting to go back to school was to be able to see the friends that they only see in school, they don't really see outside of it. And I know personally my social battery it needs to be fulfilled a lot. And I know for a lot of people it's definitely hard not being able to socially interact.
I don't think I've ever heard, I like that. My social battery. It needs to be, I don't think I've ever heard that before. Do you own the copyright on that? You should do that maybe before someone steals it.
I've heard it
You've heard it
circle
before?
around.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. You could tell everyone you made it up, though. Social battery. The Dutchess County Council of Teens. What would you say you want to get out of this in the long term? This year you're focusing on mental health, but a year from now, 2 years from now, or 10 years from now, when you're not there and you're not a teen, what's the end goal for something like this?
I want to make sure that teenagers, hopefully all around the country, are given a place to get their voices heard by local government, because I find it is extremely important and extremely pressing, especially because we are the future of the country. So it's best to get these experience at a young age so that when we become the age of 18, when we're able to vote and really pay attention to the matters, I think it's extremely important to get the early experience and also to be recognized by local government, because a lot of the issues that are voted on by adults directly affect teenagers, and the fact that we aren't able to have a say in that, I feel like, is a problem that needs to be heavily addressed. And I'm just a kid, like they don't care about what I
can't
say.
Do anything. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Do you feel like from talking with teens or maybe even teachers or older people, when you're talking with the politician's first thought is this person going to donate to me or vote for me? And I guess you could donate to them, but you can't vote for them. Do you feel like you've been dismissed in the past by people that are older than you, and this is now people are taking notice? Oh, wow, she's doing something about it.
Senator Susurino is my advisor for the project, and when I had pitched it to her, she was fully on board because she also thought that it was something that needed to be addressed. So personally, I think when talking with some of our more local government, I haven't experienced that problem, but I definitely feel like, because we do intend to go present onto Albany, possibly in May, about mental health, because we conducted a survey and we want to start taking action. So I feel like when it gets up to the higher levels, I feel it definitely will get a little rocky with people not fully listening or just not seeing why they need to listen.
And this is State Senator in New York State, Sue Serino,
yes,
who is your official sponsor. What's the advisor? Okay, so you had come to her and asked her to be an advisor for you, and she jumped on that. When it comes to dealing with young people now, especially now that you're trying to get maybe your friends or your classmates involved in politics and community service, do you feel like young people and teens are stepping up, or do you feel like there's maybe still dropping the ball and there's more to be done there?
I feel like it's a mix of both. It really just depends on the person. I feel like if someone is super passionate about some topic, they will obviously advocate for it. If they know how to approach going about community service, I believe that they will do it. However, when it comes to the terms of speaking with local government and politics, because of the mindset that's been put into teenagers, like, oh, like you're so young, like your opinion doesn't really matter. I feel like it gets a lot harder for teens to speak up because, one, it's extremely intimidating to go up to your legislator and talk about a project or issue that's super important to you. So I feel like that causes for some inactiveness with teenagers, which is also something I hope to change.
I remember I had a friend who ran for Congress and he won. And he told me the running joke in Congress is you get to Congress in Washington, D.C., and the first week in the first month you ask yourself, oh my gosh, how the heck did I get here? And then you deal with all the congressmen and congresswomen, and you're like, how do these people get here? I think a lot of people, maybe even teens, they're intimidated by these state legislators, and they think they're these special people. And they're just people like everyone else. I mean, they ran for a specific reason, but they're no different than everyone else. So I think it's great that you're bringing attention to that and you're getting more people involved. You mentioned the Girl Scouts. This was a project, you said the Gold Award?
Yes.
Talk to me about that exactly and then how the Girl Scouts played a role. This was a quick taste of our conversation, but we've got more to come. If you want to hear more about this topic and about my conversation with our guest here, tune in next week. We'll have a part 2. As well, and we will chat some more, and you can hear more about what they have to say. If you are enjoying the Good Vibes Project podcast, please join me on Patreon. Patreon is a website which allows me to expand upon the tips, advice, and thoughts that I'm sharing, not just on the podcast, but on my website and on my other creative endeavors. It allows you to make a small contribution financially each month to help me promote the podcast, help me to promote my writing, and helps me pay for some of these small expenses, such as websites and hosting and things of that nature.